Hi and welcome to the CWO channel. In this video we're going to look at a very compelling account of the British Bigfoot. This comes from Cornwall and it was reported in September 2020 to the cornwalllive.com website. Now I find this particularly compelling for several reasons. The area it was in, it's compelling because of the detail of the account and the fact that we have not just audio reports of what was happening orally there. We also have an actual category A visual sighting of the British Bigfoot. But let me get into the report. So it happened near the village of St Morgan down in Cornwall, and though the article doesn't say exactly where it happened, I was able to kind of put on my investigative journalist hat and actually find out exactly where this happened. So I can reveal for the first time that this happened on the Carnanton estate, which is a shooting estate. It's a private estate owned by a man called Paul Young Jameson. But let me just read you some of the article just to hear firsthand from this man's account. The account says, "It was about 20 odd years ago that it happened. I was in my early 20s, maybe 22 or 23 years old, I think. The only way I can describe it is that it was a wooded all around with steep hills, but with a field in the bottom. My old boss used to keep pheasants and other birds up there. People paid him to shoot on his land. He and I were up on the side of the hill on the far edge. I remember climbing through vegetation and trees. Anyway, I was talking to him about the pheasants and birds, and afterwards, me and another guy and his daughter were left there to finish off the work. We were left alone. I remember getting finished and hearing a wood knock about 30 yards away. I couldn't see anything. I looked at them and they looked at each other and they said nothing, so we just carried on packing up. It started again louder and closer and made me jump. Once again they didn't say anything, they just carried on working. I was kind of thinking perhaps it was a woodpecker, but no." The article goes on to say that they were sharing a van, which was in fact a Land Rover, that was too small for the three of them, so the colleague and his daughter went back to the main house with the boss, Paul Young Jameson, and left this man behind initially. "I had to wait to get picked up later," he continued. "This was the reason I stayed. I couldn't make out where the sound was coming from. I could still see the edge of the forest where we had been before when I heard it earlier on. I waited on the edge of the forest, and I could hear rustling in the bushes. I looked, but I couldn't see anything. And then I guess my eyes adjusted. I began to focus because I saw a face. This face was looking back at me, and there were clicks and whistles everywhere. I don't know why, I still wasn't sure what it was. I walked forward to try to have a better view. I don't know why, but I just felt it was not fully grown. It was a male, about 6 foot 5 inches tall. It was kind of copper color, and it looked right at me. It was gone in a shot as I heard my old boss's Land Rover returning to collect me. When he got into the vehicle, the witness was lost for words and remained silent. It's at this point that his boss asked him, 'What's wrong?' I was like, 'Has anyone ever said anything about a Bigfoot here?' He eventually responded, 'Oh yes, we call them Woodwose here,' he replied. 'Just leave them be.' I felt they had been watching us all the time we were out there. I wish I could explain it all more fully to you as I'm sitting here remembering things about that day. I've heard people say you get a smell with them. I didn't get any smell, and I don't know why." So this ends the account of this young man at the time, and if we kind of add up the dates, this happened around the year 2000. We get in a fascinating account where this man reveals that he's regularly heard wood knocks while he's working on this old country estate, surrounding this beautiful old Carnanton manor house where privately held, and there's a bird shoot, and he's helping out this landowner. But as he's doing it, as he's working, they say him wood knocks, and he doesn't know what it is. He knows nothing about Bigfoot, obviously, until the very day that there's a wood knock and left on his own. And I'm going to pinpoint and show you on the map whereabout I think he was when he had his sighting, which was in the fields at the bottom of the land. The land is kind of set in a small valley. There's a river running through the middle. It's wooded on either side, quite steeply wooded. And I'll pinpoint where I think the man was standing when he looked back into the woods and saw the Bigfoot looking at him. But up to this point, we don't know he knew anything about Bigfoot or any idea that they could be in the UK, let alone Cornwall, until he sees one face to face. But what's so compelling about this to me is the boss's attitude is like, oh yeah, we know about them. We call them Woodwose here. We just leave them be. This man knows that one of the most famous mystery creatures of all time lives on his property, and he simply doesn't care. Now, for full disclosure, I did send a message to Mr. Paul Young Jameson, and understandably, I had no reply. He ghosted me because he probably doesn't want a lot of people come in to try and tramp around or trespass on his land looking for Bigfoot. But it amazes me that he knows they're there, could potentially make a lot of money, become world famous for discovering Bigfoot. Not in the Pacific Northwest, not in Florida, not in Ohio, but in Cornwall, UK. But the reason being, well, it soon struck me why that might not be a big thing to him, is because he is already wealthy. He's got no interest in his private life being turned upside down, because he reveals that there's the UK Bigfoot, Woodwose, alive and well, living, wood knocking, and whistling and making an appearance on his pheasant shooting land. So I'm showing you the map. You've seen the map and seen where it happened. There's a river there, which we know Bigfoot are often tied to waterways. Two other interesting points. There's an A road nearby, something I've started to get with the British Bigfoot sightings. They often happen near A roads. Why do they happen near A roads? I believe that Bigfoot uses A roads to travel, basically. Ray Mears was once asked what the wildest place in Britain was. He actually said it's the side of motorways. Americans, you call them highways or interstates. We call them motorways. He said that's the wildest place because nobody goes there, and he's correct. Nobody hangs around the edge of motorways because they're dangerous. They often back onto farmland and private property. It's just not a place you're going to go, and it's quite similar with A roads, which are like a smaller version of a motorway. Some are bigger than others, but you can understand how Bigfoot would use that to transverse around the UK, which is smaller, less forested than the areas of North America where they live. The other thing is Newquay Airport is literally behind this property. Again, when we're thinking about places where Bigfoot could exist in the UK, an airport is a place where not a lot of people are allowed to go. You're not allowed to just walk around an airport. There's planes coming and going, but in terms of people walking around the area, there's not going to be many people. Definitely not inside the boundary, and even outside the immediate boundary, other than maybe a few plane spotters. It's often going to be wooded around there. It's just not a place where there's going to be many people because of the danger and because of trespassing. So when I think about A roads, rivers, I think about airports and other things nearby. That to me just lends credence to this account. And if you follow this A road down, it actually gets to a fairly large wild area that's a bit further south. And even if you go north, it will get you all the way to the coast, where is an abundance of seafood if the British Bigfoot, the Woodwose, is partial to some mussels and clams. But anyway, that's it for this compelling sighting. Again, this has not been hugely publicized. Many of you've never heard of this before. But I think it's compelling. I found out where it happened. It happened around the year 2000. I found out the man whose land it happened upon. And again, no comment from him, and I don't expect a comment. But I'm looking forward in future, not to trespass, but around the vicinity on public land to have a look around. And who knows, maybe one day he will respond to me, and we will get some more information on this sighting of the Woodwose down near St Morgan in Cornwall. Anyway, as usual, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Catch you next time.